Welcome to WeathertexTalks. Joining us today is Warren McGregor, CEO of PrefabAUS. Warren, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Pleasure.
Can you talk about a bit of your background and when you joined Prefab and the reason for it?
My background is quite eclectic professionally. I some KPMG consulting, investment banking, both here in Australia and in Southeast Asia. My interest in prefab space goes back to about 2010 when I was looking at it from a developer and project manager type perspective. So my property focus has really been the last 12 years or so.
Sure.
And it was in that context that I actually went to the first PrefabAUS conference in 2014 as a delegate, not at all imagining that I might end up in this role shortly thereafter.
What's the history of PrefabAUS and how did it evolve?
It evolved out of a workshop at Melbourne University in 2012, I understand. It came into being as an organisation in 2013. It's a not-for-profit industry association, and its mandate, its objective is to showcase and advance off-site construction in Australia, and we do that through our members, through events, through conferences and related activities.
WeatherTex have been proud members for a number of years now. Can you describe and give us an understanding of the types of members that PrefabAUS have?
Our membership's quite broad-ranging and it's been growing quite quickly. In fact, we've got well over 200 organisations who are members, but more importantly, the individuals in those organisations now number almost 500. So the kind of member organisations include manufacturers of modules, of prefabricated bathroom pods, of componentry, equipment suppliers, material suppliers, through architects, engineers and other technical trades. We think it's critical to bringing about the kind of change that off-site manufacturing and construction involves. It takes that multidisciplinary, multi-sector type involvement.
As you mentioned the change, and we've seen a significant change in modular housing or prefabricated buildings over a short period of time. What sort of changes have you seen in the last 5 years, and where do you think the evolution of prefabricated buildings going to in Australia?
Australia's relatively late to the party in that sense, but where I think we're in a very healthy situation is we've got very broad sector representation. So from education, transport, housing, other infrastructure, medical space, through hospitals, medical clinics, retirement living. There are many of the property sectors have had a variety of off-site construction solutions that have worked for them. So we've got a broad but still fairly thin representation so far, but I think we're very well poised here to really start that assault.
And WeatherTex has been a part of the whole evolution of new residential type buildings and commercial buildings and the utilisation of our product externally. But I think in the last year, one of the big steps forward was the 8-storey timber building that's getting done in New South Wales with Strongbut. PrefabAUS were part of that, and obviously Adam presents regularly on that topic, and you've seen that evolve significantly.
Yes, indeed, and Strongbut's one of the leaders in the country, there's no doubt about that, and they're doing a fantastic job for a private organisation. They're doing it on a number of fronts, from cross-laminated timber, from timber panel systems, through to the broader use of materials, and really optimising what I refer to as the hybrid type approach to off-site construction, not just saying the building's going to be this material or that material, which has tended to be, that silo approach has tended to be the way we've gone in the past, but to say for these purposes, for these elements, we're going to have this bit substructure, this bit for the main bits, and really pick apart and get the nuances of optimising the building structures. They're a very good example of that.
WeatherTex over the years has focused on sustainability and being very transparent in sustainable building products. Is sustainability of products a key part to the prefabrication industry? But
sustainability is a trigger for the change that's underway, but also a particular interest to some of our member organisations, whether they be suppliers like a WeatherTex or whether they be the architect fraternity in particular, have a preference for and a real bent to try to improve the sustainability of the buildings that they're involved with at the design level as well as at the materials level, and timber is obviously a key part of that element. We also have it from off-site construction because it's much more defined, controlled, typically factory environment, there's a heightened ability to be able to deliver demanding design in the built form at the end, whereas we can lose some of that in the translation when we take a high spec design to a traditional construction site where all the materials get sent out there and put out in the weather and knocked together as and how it works best. So sustainability is very much part of the equation.
Warren, has there been many challenges in the growth of the prefab market in Australia?
Significant challenges, I would say, both here and around the world. And I think if we look at it in the broader sense, we're talking about innovation, we're talking about different techniques and processes, different technologies, different skill sets that fall out of that. So the task is quite something to bring about that kind of change. And moreover, we're doing it in an industry, the construction industry, that's not well known for pace of change and innovation over time. In fact, in many ways, the construction industry has hardly changed in the last 100 years or so. So that putting those two things together does make it quite a challenge, yes.
Warren, thanks for joining us. WeatherTexts, are growing in line with the prefabricated space, and we really look forward to working with PrefabAUS in the years to come. So thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.